He said that, Tyler, my roommate, had just invited a guy over and asked for the room to be his that night.
A scruffy, shady-looking, old, homeless-looking, creepy older dude.
He had like an Italian look about him. He had like dark hair, goatee.
Just like an older, shabbier looking guy.
Weird facial hair, older, looks weird.
He was a solid looking guy. Like he wasn't like fat or anything, but he wasn't like a thin guy. He just looked very solid.
The guest was kind of an older looking man, I guess not a college age student looking kind of guy.
He described the guy who was invited over as someone older.
25 to 26.
He looked to be older than a college student, but he wasn't like obscenely old.
We know him only by his initials, MB. He's the man that was in the room that night with Tyler Clementi. Now, Dharun and Ravi's accused of spying on them with a webcam and broadcasting it on the internet. Days later, Tyler jumped off the George Washington Bridge. But because of Tyler's death, MB is now a major player in this case. But he's also a big mystery, and the court wants to keep it that way. Outside the courthouse, Michael Christian, senior producer for In Session on True TV. Also with us, Meg Strickler, international defense attorney, and Seema Iyer, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Michael, let me start with you. Why the desire to conceal his appearance, just so we understand that part of it?
You know, it's very strict rules here, Ryan. We are going to be able to show MB from the neck down. We'll probably show his hands. We'll be able to show the attorneys asking him questions. But there will be no audio out of that courtroom. We are only going to see this part of this man's body. We're not going to hear any of the questions he's being asked. We're not going to be able to hear any of his answers. Now, obviously, that will be reported on. There will be reporters in that courtroom, believe me, who will be tweeting all of this stuff out. But per the judge's ruling, to protect his identity, we are not going to be able to show him. We are not going to hear his voice.
Okay. You know, when I think of MB in this case, and you saw all the different descriptions that people had of him, you think about the victims in this case. Tyler Clementi, obviously the big victim here, the person that we talk about a lot, but also this other person, MB. Take a look at what the attorney said about him, but what MB's attorney said about him.
He's also a victim, and he's hurting. He was part of the scenario that brought us into court. Whatever relationship he had with Tyler Clementi, and frankly, I don't know what it was, but it had to be at least a friend relationship. And when you lose a friend, or especially in a situation like this, you hurt.
You know, Seema, when we look at a case like this, you almost look at it as if there are two victims here. Do you victimize him again by putting him on the stand? And even though he won't be shown on TV, he's going to be in a courtroom with 50 so people, the defendant, everyone else. Everyone will see him right there.
Well, of course. I mean, now we are looking at him as another victim, and now his life is being exposed. But what had happened, it sounds like there was an application to either close the courtroom or conceal his identity, and now we're trying, at least the state of New Jersey is, to protect MB from being completely revealed. I mean, we don't know what his life is like. We don't know who he is or what he does. And again, exposing him to this public arena will victimize him. My concern, to be honest with you, is that I do think his identity will be revealed, and that could be problematic. And the descriptions of him really, Ryan, are just revolting at this point, because these kids are talking about him like he could be homeless, he's shabby. And college kids, I mean, when they say older, they're probably talking about someone my age. So it's really, it's already being set up so biased against MB.
Yeah, you know, imagine how he feels seeing all of this, and I think you make a great point. We like to take precautions. I definitely applaud the court for taking those precautions, but we live in the internet age, and people see something, they say something. It just seems to be like that these days. Now, Meg Strickler, given the fact that we live in that age, are they doing enough to conceal his identity? Is this what would usually happen in a case like this? Or should they be doing much more, like closing the court, maybe sticking him in a different room?
Remember, this is a fascinating case from the get-go. This all has to do with Twitter. This all has to do with Facebook. I mean, it's just that's what's on trial here. And so the court must do what it can to protect this person's identity because this person is a victim. Remember what the counts of the indictment say. Invasion of privacy. He was in that room just like Tyler Clementi, and his privacy was invaded. It was broadcast through the video chat. So remember, he's a victim too, and so the court must keep him as private as he can. It will ultimately be divulged who he is, I imagine, just because that's how life happens. There's only so much everybody can do. And so that's where we're at. He probably will get, something's going to happen, but the court can only take as many precautions as they can.
So you don't think they could have done more here? You don't think they should have done more?
What could you do? What are you going to do, like a little child kind of testimony, like we have a 6-year-old testify for those kind of cases? You can only do as much as you can.
Yeah, and you know what? His lawyer was speaking out, and he talked about, there are all these different conflicting reports about MB. So he was asked, is MB married? What's his life like? Take a listen to what he said.
There are reports that say that he's married and that is one reason why he doesn't want to come forward.
I don't believe my client is married.
In a serious relationship?
I don't believe that either. I haven't asked specifically the question, but I don't believe that. It's amazing how people can jump to assumptions and conclusions. I don't believe that's the case.
See, his lawyer right there, Richard Pompiello, is trying to protect him, Michael Christian. He's trying to make sure that his identity isn't out there. It seems to me that MB wanted nothing to do with this case.
I'm sure that's true. And it's interesting, Ryan, because in many ways, MB is peripheral to this case. As you say, he is a victim of sorts, and certainly his actions with Tyler Clementi triggered all of this. But it will be interesting to see what he's asked when he takes the stand, because he doesn't really know much about it. He won't be able to talk much about the relationship between Tyler Clementi and Mr. Ravi, because he doesn't really know about that. He was in that room, for all we know, on 2 occasions, and that's really it. So I think that the scope of what he's asked is actually going to be very limited. I don't expect him to be a lengthy witness.
That's a very interesting point, because he could contribute to the invasion of privacy, but how does he work into the bias, intimidation, that hate crime charge? Because that's talking about that idea of what the perception was in terms of the hater, whether Dharun Ravi felt a certain way about him because of his orientation. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Now, folks, up next, a military mom gives her daughter the best surprise possible. We're going to have the whole story next. This is one you don't